Hi, my name is Robert Shelley with Shelley Law, and my law firm assists physicians with employment contract issues. Today I'm going to talk about whether you need tail insurance if you have an occurrence-based policy. In short, the answer is no, you do not. So let's kind of talk about the differences between three types of professional liability insurance for physicians, and then in what scenario you may need tail coverage. So first, many large hospitals or healthcare networks are self-insured. Under that scenario, the physician would not need tail insurance. So we'll discuss that in a different video. The two main types of professional liability insurance, also known as malpractice insurance, that we're going to discuss are occurrence-based policies and claims-made policies. So a claims-made policy means a policy has to be in effect when the claim is actually made. So it's possible if a physician is working for an employer and then the relationship ends, that a patient could still file a suit, let's say a year after the physician left and no longer works there. And so in a claims-made policy, a policy needs to be in effect that covers that gap in between the last day that you work for the employer and then the last day that someone can sue you. And so that's the statute of limitations. In most states, it's 2 years. And it's 2 years from when the patient either knows or should have known of the malpractice incident. So it can go past 2 years, but for the most part, 2 years is kind of good standard. It does vary state to state. So in that scenario, if the policy is a claims-made policy and the physician leaves the employer, then someone has to pay for tail and secure a tail coverage policy. And every physician employment agreement is going to state who's responsible for tail insurance. And if it doesn't, that's a problem, and you need to put the language in there. So I'd say it's probably 50-50 of whether a physician has to pay for tail or not. If they work for a hospital, almost none of the time will they have to pay for tail. If they work for a private physician-owned practice, most of the time they will. So tail cost is a good rule of thumb is it's usually about an average of twice what the annual premium is. So the annual premium is what is paid annually to provide coverage to the physician. And so when the physician leaves and a tail policy is bought, generally it's about twice what their annual premium is. And it's a one-time payment. You don't have to pay it every year. Just pay the one fee, covered for the rest of the period until the statute of limitations runs. Is tail insurance needed for an occurrence policy? As I said before, no, it is not. An occurrence policy simply means a policy has to be in effect when the incident occurs. So obviously, the incident is going to occur during employment when someone is working for an employer. So after that, if you're under an occurrence policy, the physician leaves, no tail insurance is necessary. So one question I get a lot is, well, what is the difference between the two price-wise, and then why would you go with one over another? Well, first, occurrence on average is about a third more expensive per year than a claims-made policy. So let's say you have $6,000 premium for a claims-made policy, then it'd be around $8,000 for occurrence. So it's kind of a math equation. Also with claims-made, usually the premium will go up over time slightly. So if you have the choice between occurrence or claims-made, it probably will depend upon how long you anticipate being with the employer, and then whether paying the third each year makes more sense than paying a little bit less per year, but then having to pay that big chunk on the end of it. Most private physician-owned practices will not provide occurrence insurance. The obvious reason why is it's more expensive. And so if the employer is going to make the physician pay for tail, then there's no reason for them not to use a claims-made policy. That way they not only don't have to pay for tail, but then they pay a third less for insurance on an annual basis. So that's kind of a little rundown on tail, claims made, and occurrence-based insurance. So you do not need to pay tail if you're under an occurrence policy. If you have any questions about different malpractice policies, you can feel free to contact my firm at the phone number listed below in the description, or you can always reach us through our website, shellylaw.com. That's CHELLE law.com. Appreciate you watching the video. Thanks.